I'd like to call this meeting of the Clay County Commission to order. We will begin with our invocation, and in the absence of a guest, I'm afraid you are stuck with me. So I will do my best to fill in at the last minute. Please join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for the abundant gifts that you've given us. Please grant us your guidance and your wisdom as we go forward, trying to do our best to represent the will of the people and to do our best job to make sure that we are responsible stewards of your blessings. As we gather this weekend, many different faith communities have different ways of observing this weekend. They all are looking to the same source, the same primary source. Please bless us all as we are engaging in that, and also those who are traveling to see family and friends. Please keep your hand on them, help them to travel safely. And in your name, we ask for all guidance and blessings that you can give us. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte?
Here.
Commissioner Withington?
Here.
Commissioner Lawson?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson? Commissioner Carpenter?
Here.
Okay. My screen's not working. Okay, to you. My screen's not working. Oh, yeah, I guess it. My screen is not working, so as we go forward, if anyone wants to, I may not have your name come up here, so please just get my attention visually. With that, is there a motion related to approval of this evening's agenda? Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of this evening's agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, there are two items under ceremonial matters. Administrator, if you'd like to introduce the first one.
Resolution, Resolution 2025-127 is an honorary resolution for Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and I believe Commissioner Johnson is sponsoring this resolution, so I will defer to him.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. So this is Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And do we have some dispatchers here with us today? Come on up to the podium, because we're going to be presenting this to you. If you can come up to the podium here and actually maybe tell us your name and your positions. Right here. There's a microphone right there. Just push the button.
There we go.
And then afterwards, we're going to bring you up here for pictures as well. So.
Kim Hunter, Communications Supervisor.
Please speak right into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Kim Hunter, Communications Supervisor.
Great.
Tanya Turner, I'm the lead dispatcher.
Well, thank you for being here. We have a nice little proclamation for you, but I'd like to say a few things first. You know, dispatchers, I know that you're calling telecommunicators, but I'm old school. Dispatchers, that's one of those jobs that most people will never understand unless they've done it. And I think you know that. And there's a few jobs out there that are like that. I know deputy sheriff is another one of those, or a police officer. Although I've never been a dispatcher per se, I've been a little bit closer to the job than most. I was a commander in charge of a very large communication center in Los Angeles County for a while. And actually, when I was a young police officer, there was a shortage of dispatchers, and I think there's almost always a shortage of dispatchers. I don't think we're ever fully staffed with dispatchers. But they said, hey, if you're a police officer and you can type more than 60 words a minute, then you can work overtime in our dispatch center. So I did that. And I was a call taker. I didn't work the radio, but I was a call taker for answering 911 calls. And I could tell you, it was quite an experience, and it was eye-opening. Some of the different things that happen when you're answering those calls. You can go for the longest time of just being bored and a particular graveyard shift, and you're not getting any calls at all. Then something major where it's a big collision or it's a shooting or something happens, and all of a sudden, the phones light up and you're getting dozens and dozens of calls all at once. And just to give you some numbers on calls, our dispatchers, I think, have handled, if I'm not mistaken, roughly between 75 and 95,000 calls a year. That's about, on the upper end, 260 calls a day. That's about a call every 5 minutes. That's a lot of calls. And dispatchers, if you don't know, dispatchers actually have to deal with some of the most abrasive personalities there are out there, and that's just the police officers and the deputies that you deal with. We all know how that works. But if you haven't seen how dispatcher works, a dispatcher sits at a desk and has at least a half a dozen screens. I don't know how many there are now, but at least a half a dozen computer screens, monitors that you have up, monitoring all different things, different radio traffic, where all your different units are, that kind of stuff. But with those dispatchers answering calls or just answering the 911 calls, keep in mind most people go through their whole life without calling 911. And when they do call 911, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And if you have called 911, you probably remember exactly what you called 911 for, and you're probably a little bit nervous calling 911. But when people call 911, it's because of sometimes some of the most stressful times in their entire life. And the voice on that other end of the phone is what gives them hope. And that voice is what can reassure them. And why that voice has to reassure them, that voice also has to get as much information as it can to pass it on to the units in the field. It's a difficult task to do. And although you find there's certainly some satisfaction that comes from that, there's another side of that. You know, you get people that are calling and they're literally saving lives. Literally saving lives on the phone, telling someone how to do CPR to someone over the phone. Here's one thing that you probably don't think of, and I don't mean to be too morbid about this, but sometimes dispatchers are the last voice that people hear. You ever had someone die on the phone on you? That happens to 911 operators. People don't think about that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Or working the radio, and the young police officer, the young deputy that was just in the dispatch center chatting it up with the dispatchers a few minutes ago is now out in the field and now putting out a call that he needs help because he's just been shot. And you got to deal with that. And you got to go through all those emotions with that guy that was just sitting here, a friend of yours that you know, and you have no idea how he's doing. Or you're that voice on the other end that he's hanging on to get those resources out there to help him, to get an ambulance to him, to get the other deputies and the other police officer to help him. And when they whisked him away in the ambulance and take him to the hospital and you don't know what's going on, another call comes in. And another call might be just some old lady who locked herself out of her car, and now you got to deal with that. The emotional roller coaster that you guys go through, that I have seen firsthand, is incredible. That most people will never understand or never appreciate. But just know I do.
Thank you.
I do, and people that can understand as much as we can understand without actually do the job, appreciate what you do. Those officers that are very abrasive out there sometimes, those deputies out there sometimes, I guarantee they appreciate what you do. I've been one of those officers out there that's had to call for help before. I've been reliant on dispatchers. I've been involved in shootings where dispatchers were the ones that brought me the resources I need. I realize what you guys do, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you guys do. So we have a proclamation, a resolution. I'm not sure what the name of this is, a resolution. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's very nice, as you can imagine, but basically it's a resolution, and it declares Public Safety Telecommunicators Week this week. And so with that, I just want to say thank you, and I'll turn it back to Presider if he has anything to say.
Well said, Commissioner. I think that was well said, well felt from the heart, and with the voice of experience. I have nothing that I can possibly add to that. Would any other commissioners like to Commissioner Withington, are you looking for recognition?
Did turn that off when Stacy called her name.
Oh, no problem. Commissioner Wagner?
Thank you. Well, I cannot be as eloquent as our colleague nor share the experience that he has shared. I'll just simply say this. Because you are the first person that anyone talks to when they are in need and in trouble, the way that you handle those situations is a reflection upon the entire department in this county. And you really make the guy standing behind you look real good. And if he doesn't say it, I know he will anyway, but I certainly will, that what you do makes us all look real good. And I am appreciative of that, as I know that anyone that you help is appreciative of you being on the other side of that line. So keep doing what you're doing. You deserve one of those resolutions every week, but apparently they only let you have that name once. But just know you deserve it every single week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? If not, we will go ahead and go forward and, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if they want to say anything.
Do you have anything, good point. Do you have anything that you'd like to add? I mean, we did get you introduced, but if you have any comments you'd like to make, we'd be happy to hear them.
No, honestly, I'm just amazed that you've actually experienced that, so you have that understanding, and that to me means a lot. Coming from you guys in the position that you're in, I mean, we can be told thank you day in and day out, but to have it come from somebody that actually understands what we do and appreciates that
Means a lot.
means a lot.
I guess the only thing I'd like to add is while I don't have your breadth of experience, I have had the experience in a highly stressful situation having to call. Certainly I'm appreciative of the folks on the other end of the line during that particular rather tough time. So I very much appreciate on a personal level, even if I don't have the professional chops to be able to express that on a personal level. The folks in your role were quite helpful and sensitive. So with that, we will go forward.
I was just taking video.
And we have a second honorary resolution, 2025-131. Administrator, if you'd like to cue that up, I'll take it from there.
Resolution 2025-131 is an honorary resolution for National Work Zone Awareness Week. So I'll do just a little bit brief introduction here. And as we all know, it is actually turning into orange cone season. And while we all appreciate that because we like to have our roads improved and potholes filled, we also know with that comes long lines of not moving very fast and sometimes not moving at all during work zone, and people get stressed, they get rerouted and have to do different routes, and it takes time, and we know that adds to, we're all very busy and it adds to the day. And so we appreciate everyone's patience when they're driving through work zones, and I think it's important for individuals to recognize that on the other side of those orange cones are our staff and MoDOT staff and city staff out there trying to do the best to improve the roads on behalf of the drivers. And it is a very risky position that they put themselves in. And just to give you a little bit of information, according to the Missouri Department of Transportation, just last year, there were 17 work zone fatalities, and there were 2,077 work zone crashes that occurred, and I'm just talking about the state of Missouri. And so we appreciate, and next week is the National Awareness Week, April 21st through 25th. The county will be doing some information and some sharing and social media, just reminding individuals that we know it can be stressful to drive through those work zones, but we ask that for your patience and to be aware of our staff. With that, I would like to bring forward our Road and Bridge Director, Tom Degenhart, who might add some additional real-life stories, possibly, and accept the resolution.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Tom Degenhart, Road and Bridge Director. The week of April 21st through April 25th is National Work Zone Awareness Week. This year's theme is Respect the Zone so we can all go home. Some of the national and local events for next week include Monday is Work Zone Safety Training Day. Tuesday is the national kickoff event. Wednesday is Go Orange Day, which to me is Go Oranges every day, and also a skill showcase. Thursday is Social Media Storm Day, and Friday is a moment of silence for those work zone fatalities. As far as personal events, I don't want to rehash this. I've never seen an accident, but I've seen a lot of stupid people acting stupid in work zones, where I wanted to cuss them out, but then again, I report to a council. But some people tend to go around cars and work zones and get real close to my employees, and it just makes me mad. So yeah, everyone be careful. With that, I'll answer any questions or any comments for you guys.
Well, I want to thank you for coming up and both of you and giving us some background on this. This is a dangerous job, and it's one that is not necessarily viewed as dangerous. Obviously, many other professions, there is an obvious sense of hazard and danger with the men and women who are doing these extremely important jobs. There is not necessarily the immediate perception of just how hazardous their work can be. And I think we all get very impatient when we see roads that need repair and potholes and whatnot. And then when there is a long line to work around where these workers need to be, you can't take the road over to back to the shop and fix it. You got to do it on site. There's just no way around it. But something that I think I'd like to observe is this, and that is, and I drove by a site. I don't think it was the county, but it was a repair work crew going on, and something that struck me and I noticed was this: as we had the one worker who was guiding traffic a little bit, there seemed to be an extraordinary amount of patience on their part. We as motorists sometimes get impatient. I think sometimes that's just a function of being behind the wheel. But apart from the professionalism and the rest of it, I think it is underestimated the patience that is displayed and their real effort, not just to fix the roads so that we can go through this without shaking our fillings loose, but the fact that they are patient and they are professional and they are doing their very best to make sure that the traffic still flows in the most efficient way possible. So I think we need to make sure that we are grateful not just for the obvious work they do, but for the work that underscores why they are great public servants, and their work is so important. Are there any other commissioners wishing to comment before we go forward? Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I just like to say I appreciate the work that they do, and appreciate the dangerous conditions under which they do it. It's nice when you can just worry about yourself and control your own fate, kind of a thing. But when you're on the street working on the roads, you don't get control of all those cars going by, unfortunately, all the time. And when you have drunk drivers, you have drivers that are dozing off, you have whatever they are, distracted drivers. It gets pretty dangerous. And I've responded to a lot of those when I was an officer, responded to a lot of those calls where folks were hit and or killed working on highways. And it's a dangerous job. I appreciate what they do. And if there's anything I could tell people, it's just when you see people out there working, be careful how you drive. Just be careful how you drive, and let's keep these guys alive. But we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Wagner.
Put your phones down,
Yeah.
leave 5 minutes early, or don't worry about being 5 minutes late. Let everyone go home. Thanks for all the work you guys do.
Thank you.
And I am very happy that we have this, because this is the opportunity for us to spotlight these workers, and they are unsung heroes. And so their work is very much appreciated by, I think, everyone on this commission. So if there are no further comments, we will go forward and present the resolution. That concludes our ceremonial matters. Next, our public comments. Are there any members of the public that would care to make any comments to the commission? As you do, please make sure that the green light is on the microphone. State your name, and then please proceed with your remarks. Sir?
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm Dave Wood. I live down in North Kansas City. Little side note, this is a beautiful old building. I love beautiful old buildings. Probably the last time I was in this building, even as a lifelong Clay County resident, I was probably an elementary school field trip. So I won't tell you how long ago that was, but I was very impressed when I walked in here. It's awesome. Anyway, so down in North Kansas City, I'm part of a group of neighbors, and a couple of them have come with me. They may have something else to say after me, but collectively, we put together some notes, and I got voluntold that I would come up and address you guys. But we're here to talk about the Royal Stadium again. All we really want to do is start a conversation, right? There's a lot of things that we just want to make you aware. There's a growing number of residents in North Kansas City that do not want the stadium. All the news coverage you see is, oh, yeah, but I'm telling you, there is a huge underlying current of animosity about this stadium. Our group is going to try to help flesh some of that out. So bear with me a little bit, because I just want to make you aware of that. I know it's not easy, and I've told Commissioner Withington this before. You know, it's really easy to advocate for something when you don't have to deal with it. Well, if they put a stadium down there, we're going to have to deal with it. And they're not really very happy about that, because we've got a lot of voices coming from people that seem to support the idea. They don't live there. They don't have any other interaction with North Kansas City. They just seem to be for the stadium there. So we want to make sure that you guys can help us get our voices heard. I know for a fact in politics it's really easy to go after all of the fun, easy, bright, shiny things, especially because we're spending everybody else's money, right? But the emotional cool factor, if you will, or someone's childhood dream of a downtown stadium, you can't have that as part of the conversation, the decision making, because this thing, the potential of huge negative impact on the quality of life down there is immense. So we have to be upfront about some of the concerns. One of the things to think about, there's a recent trend, you probably all know this, but a somewhat recent trend among cities, and North Kansas City is no different, where the government wants to chase all these bright, shiny things, and they do it for a variety of reasons. They'll tell you that things like apartments and stadiums, you know, oh, it's going to increase the tax base, it's going to help the businesses, or the Holy Grail, it's going to create jobs. We learned in the last go around with the stadium that some of those statistics are a bit dubious, so I'm just asking you to be aware of that. You know that already, but we want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. The things that nobody really wants to talk about, which my neighborhood group, we talk about a lot. Things like the inevitable increase in crime. It's going to happen. I don't care what the statistics tell you, it will happen. So a lot of things come with that, right? If you have an increase in crime, it's not going to take very long for the insurance companies to catch up to us, and my rates are going to go, everybody's rates are going to go up on insurance, car insurance, house insurance, because the crime rate's going to go up, and it just will. The noise will increase, traffic will increase. If you increase crime, you increase traffic, that means you're going to have an increase in police presence and fire presence and emergency services. Guess what that's all going to do? It's going to raise our taxes, right? So, not to mention the strain on the infrastructure either. We're a little town, right? We don't have major infrastructure like some of these other cities do. So, and I'm not just talking about the streets, but parking, you know, the water. I mean, all of the infrastructure is going to need to be upgraded, improved, maintained. All of those things are just going to cost more money, and guess who they're going to come to for that? Us taxpayers. So we want to make sure that some of these things are fleshed out. You notice I didn't even really talk about the tax increase, which is kind of already a non-starter. I mean, these are things that impact us daily, what I'm talking about. So this is our first stop, really, to try to generate a conversation with you guys. We have other stops, other entities. I'm going to be going to the city council, other entities we're going to talk to. But we really just wanted to start this conversation so that you're aware, that we're aware of these issues, and maybe help us, you know, flesh some of these things out in the conversation. I'm hopeful that we can at least agree that, you know, there are needs and there are wants, right? I mean, we're confident that this commission can handle the needs of the county. a stadium is a big want, right? So we got to keep those things separated. So we're just asking you to help us again. There's an old saying, some of you may have heard, money gets what money wants. So folks like yourself, I'm going to have the same spiel with my city council. You know, it might take a little bit of bravery to stand up to some of the money and go, you know, why don't we see what the people of Northtown say? Why don't we talk to them and see what they want to do, right? Get us in that conversation. They're not going to like everything we say, but we want to at least be at the table so some of these concerns can come to light. So anyway, that's my spiel. Like I said, we have this neighbor group. We're slowly expanding as we tackle other subjects. So if you guys would like to come to North Kansas City and talk to the residents, I'm helpful. I'd be glad to help set that up. Or, you know, if you have questions about some of the things that we're hearing as a neighborhood group, I don't know if Mr. Withington still has my contact info, but I'd be glad to leave that. You can contact me and I can reach out to the group and we can maybe help answer some of the questions you have from a grassroots level. So.
Well, thank you for coming forward and expressing your opinion. I would, two observations I would make. If you have your comments in writing, if you could give them to our administrator, that way we can make sure that your opinions get aired and at least circulated. The second thing is, obviously, you are always welcome to come and express your opinions to this commission and reach out to individual commissioners as you see fit.
I appreciate that, and I will definitely be back as we get more information. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions for me? I just want to ask one.
Commissioner, I'm still, because we don't have our technology quite up, but Commissioner Johnson, I believe you had something.
Just want to clarify real quick. I'm guessing you're just against the stadium altogether, or is there certain conditions that you want to see met before there's a stadium?
Me personally, I don't want the stadium.
Okay.
There are some in our group and some in that they're kind of, you know, well, if we do this, if we do that. But I'm mostly the voice of the folks that just say, no, I really don't want it.
Okay.
Really
And I think you said you are going to your city council.
Absolutely, I'll be there next week.
So, and I think, you know, we don't make a decision whether or not, this commission doesn't decide if there's going to be a stadium or not.
I totally get that. I totally get that. But what we're looking for are help, right? You know, there's people to be in our corner, at least help us make sure that we get heard. So, you know, when you're having some of those conversations, you know, you could throw out, hey, you know, have you spoken to some of the residents in North Kansas City? There was a news article just today where they interviewed some people down at Chapels. None of the people they talked to live in North Kansas City. None of them.
By the way, when if you do care to submit those comments to our administrator for distribution, if it is something that you're okay with, do include contact information. So if any commissioners have questions or comments of whatever sort, that then you can interact with them on that basis.
Absolutely, I can do that. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. Next citizen.
Mindy Hart Davis, resident of North Kansas City. Also to talk about the potential of a stadium in North Kansas City. Merriman already owns the property. It's gonna get developed as something. And he has very close ties with Sherman. And so in the past, I have reached out to a commissioner and was assured that this commission had no further interest of engaging in conversation about a stadium. And I said, that's not true. If they come and they want to have a conversation with Clay County, they're going to make that request and you're going to grant it because that's your job. You're supposed to vet it out and get as much information before it goes to the voters. My suggestion and my plea is that it needs to go to North Kansas City residents to vote first. Because we bought our houses in North Kansas City, much like Merriman bought his properties with it zoned in a specific way, knowing he could ask for zoning variances. But the city, as long as he met the requirements of what the zoning allowed, that he could build what he wants to build. Well, we bought our houses for a specific purpose in North Kansas City. We lived in Northtown, we moved to Smithville, and I can say this, I love Smithville, but I also know that it's snobby Smithville, as I've always called it, because it was a different feel than what we lived in Northtown. Northtown's very down to earth. We moved back to Northtown because it is a small town feel. And so now we want to put a stadium in that's going to change the conditions under which we bought our house. That would be like telling Merriman that he can't build an entertainment district or a stadium or anything else. He has to go all residential on the property that he bought, but that's not how it was zoned when he bought it. That's not an ethical thing to do. So is it ethical to change the whole texture of a town that we bought our houses based off of? That's a huge question. When Merriman built the Oxbow, they came up with challenges. They had to stop construction and re-drill the footings because of being so close to the riverbed and the bedrock. They had to drill further. We, as a question you just posed to Dave, yeah, we have questions. What is that going to do to the very earth in North Kansas City? If we have to drill footings further down, is that going to, I mean, you've heard of all of the things that happens with oil drilling. Is that going to impact what happens with the flood zone? Is it the levee? What impact is that going to have on us and our homes? The Royals want to move. There's going to be an empty stadium. What does that do? What are the Chiefs going to do with it? If in North Kansas City, the footprint that we have in 4.5 square miles that is above the river, that's a huge footprint for our town versus where it is in Jackson County or if it was in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri has the acreage that we do not. If they left after 20 years or 30 years, we're left with a very large stadium that is going to become another blight. So these are things that we have to consider in our town, not to mention, imagine where you live. If a stadium was put in 3 blocks from your front door, which is where it would be from my front door, what would the sound? My husband has weird work hours. I have weird work hours. Our sleeping patterns, it's fragile enough with hearing fire trucks going by on Armour. What would that do if it was 3 blocks from your house? Would you want that noise to be added to your neighborhood? Because that's what's going to happen to my neighborhood. Our police protection. We are so proud of our police protection in North Kansas City. They have literally saved my children's lives on more than one occasion. We have the highest ratio of officers per square mile in the region. If we add to their burden, are we going to be able to afford it, or are we going to spread those same officers out? We moved back to North Kansas City because of our police and our fire protection and our community and how we can walk it, bike it, and drive it. I will leave you with this. If we make any decisions, if the county, because there have been, a year and a half ago, there were people on this commission that were very supportive, they were supportive of the stadium, came out publicly, but no one's talking to the people who live there. I did have a business there, actually, I still have one in my home, but it was a storefront that would have been literally across the street from the stadium on Armour. I chose to move when all of this started coming because my business would not, my property owner was going to sell that building if the stadium comes. So there's a lot of impacts that your endorsement of the stadium has a trickle-down effect. So before you endorse, go talk to the people who live there. And I'm not talking city council or the mayor. I'm talking, we should be doing a vote of all of the residents of North Kansas City so everyone has an equal say in what happens to North Kansas City, into their neighborhood, without pressure of what someone would, that's why we vote, right? We get to go in a voting box that nobody can see what we vote. We need to, before we put it to Clay County citizens for a sales tax, we need to put it to North Kansas City residents for a vote to make sure that that's a good decision for our community. Because let me tell you, if you live in Kearney or Smithville and you only come to North Kansas City once a year, you're not worried about that stadium. You're not worried about whether or not you get to sleep on your hours off. You're not worried about the crime that comes in because you have your community that you live in outside of Northtown. I think we deserve the same consideration.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else care to come forward? I'm sorry, was there anyone who had any questions of the last? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, Commissioner. Okay, yeah, Commissioner Carpenter, if you'd like to proceed. Sorry about that.
I just want to say thanks to each of the three of you for coming out and sharing your views today. I can tell they're sincere. I look forward to hearing yours as well, ma'am. I just want you to know I care about the people of North Kansas City. Went to high school at Northtown. My mom and aunt and uncle went to high school at Northtown a long time ago. My 94-year-old grandfather lives in Northtown with my uncle who lives in Northtown, owns some properties there. So very much appreciate you all coming out and sharing your views this evening, and would really encourage you to reach out at the city level to your, absolutely. I know you all just had elections and, new mayor and all that, to your councilors, city council people and mayor. I think that's going to be the best way for us to take our cues in terms of, sort of through that representative democracy process, where the city's at with it. And so just would really encourage making those voices known to them.
And let me just go respond to that real quickly, and then I'll turn over to Vivian. Representation in North Kansas City, as in most communities, you guys are commissioners for Clay County. You can't possibly represent, you represent the people that you know of, that you've talked to, that you can get their opinion of. Without it going to a vote of North Kansas City residents, you're not really going to know. You're only going to know that the people on the city council, how they feel about it, because they're going to vote what they want, not necessarily always what Armour Road's a perfect example. Most of North Kansas City hates Armour Road. But the council at that time voted to make the changes to Armour Road. That wasn't what the residents wanted. That wasn't what most of the businesses wanted. So that's why your endorsement as the commissioners is so important, because they might be taking some of their cues, not just from residents, but from you. It's a huge responsibility, we understand. We're just asking you to consider, is there another method before we get to a sales tax vote? Maybe we need to vote about, do we want it in Clay County?
Any other clarification anybody would like to make? Very well. Next person, please.
My name is Vivian Kieslick, and I am not the public speaker, my friends are, and I'm too emotionally distraught about this. I just wanted to, I'm a longtime resident, and I really care, and I really don't want the stadium. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate you coming forward. I realize it's not easy sometimes to come up and express yourself, but we do appreciate the public coming forward and telling us how they feel about any issue that's important to them. Are there any other persons wishing to come forward and make comment to the commission? Seeing none. Once again, thank you for the citizens who came forward, and I just want to reiterate, anytime that you want to be here to speak, you are more than welcome. And if you wish to submit any materials to us, probably the most efficient way is to go through the administrator's office. That way we make sure they all get distributed to all commissioners. With that moves us to our consent agenda.
The consent agenda allows the commission to act upon items considered to be routine and approved in one motion. These may include items that have been reviewed by the commission in a prior session. There will be no separate discussion unless a commissioner requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. There are 9 items on the consent agenda this evening. First item is commission meeting minutes for March 27th, April 3rd, and April 10th. Resolution 2025-128 is approving invoice payments for Clay County for the period of April 5th to April 11th. There are 390 invoices totaling $3,416,359.81. 2025 Ordinance 10 is rescinding Resolution 2025-95 and approve the state block grant agreement for Project 24107B-1, Phase 2 of the Clear Creek Stabilization at Midwest National Air Center. Resolution 2025-130 is approve a cooperative purchase service agreement for glass services as needed. Resolution 2024-132 is approving the proposal for the chip and seal resurfacing in 2025 with Advance Brothers. Resolution 2025-133, approving a proposal for the microsurfacing in 2025 with Vance Brothers. Resolution 2025-134 is approving the proposal for asphalt overlay in 2025 with Superior Bowen. Resolution 2025-135 is approve a capital project encumbrance and term and supply agreement for asphalt parking lot and trail repairs. 2025 Ordinance 11 is reappropriate and revise the adopted budget for current year in the amount of $1,000 additional funds awarded for the Juvenile Justice Program Assistance Contract.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion's been made for the approval of this evening's consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington? Yes. Commissioner Lawson? Yes. Commissioner Wagner? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
That concludes our consent agenda. We have one item on our regular agenda, 2025-129. Administrator.
Resolution 2025-129 is approve invoice payments for the Clay County Prosecutor's Office from April 5th to April 11th. There are 2 invoices totaling $52.
Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve 2025-129.
Motion's been made for the approval of 2025-129. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington? Yes. Commissioner Lawson? Yes. Commissioner Wagner? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
That brings us to County Administrator comments.
Just a couple of items. The first is to remind the Commission and the public that we'll be hosting a public open house on the comprehensive plan that was just adopted. That will be held Tuesday, April the 22nd, so this coming Tuesday at 6 o'clock here in the chambers. We invite the public to come and hear more about the comprehensive plan. And then the Commission's next Commission meeting will be April 24th at 6 o'clock here in the chambers.
Thank you. That brings us to Commissioner comments. Commissioner Carpenter? Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Wagner?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple. As everyone will recall, a couple weeks ago, we had a fun-filled journey to Jefferson City to talk about a Kansas City or a Clay County Sports Authority, which has been passed to the Senate. One of the other items that we had pushed or asked for help on our agenda was related to the KCATA and filling in that one sentence that was apparently lacking in the state statute that caused a bit of heartburn. I was notified today that that is hitting an agenda next Tuesday. I am unfortunately unable to be there for the session that starts at 2:30, but just want to let everyone know. I was kind of hoping a certain presiding commissioner may be available to take a trip to Jefferson City. But nevertheless, whether that's possible or not, I just wanted to let everyone know that that agenda item is making its way. The other thing I wanted to mention was I had the wonderful opportunity to visit the Civic Academy last night. And I bring it up, number one, because I know, if I'm correct, not everyone is signed up to go to one of those meetings. And if you're not signed up, shame on you, and you should change that right away because it was a lot of fun. The pizza was great, and the questions were more than I thought I was going to get. So maybe they were just setting me up. I don't know. But just to say, staff's doing a great job with that. We've got a great number of people who are participating in that. And if you can participate and join them, please do. Because it was a fun evening. And I learned a lot from the office holders who were speaking. Including our assessor who talked candidly about those reassessments and the values that may be coming and how you can fight those if you choose to. So I learned a lot, and I know you will too if you join them. Finally, for those who do, which includes myself, have a wonderful Easter. I understand it's going to rain, so running after eggs may be a little tough, but put on your poncho and it'll work out just fine. But whether that's your faith tradition or not, please enjoy your Easter with family. I know I will. Thank you.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yeah, I do. One thing about rain and Easter, my mother always said that it rained on Easter because people were so vain and so worried about the outfit they were going to wear, and they were not going there with the proper feeling, you know, to celebrate Christ risen. I had last week, not this past week, but before, I had the great joy to go to the Civic, and I found it the same as you did. I loved talking to them, but more importantly, I loved hearing about everybody else. And the young lady who is over our GPS talked. What a joy that girl is. She's so excited about the whole project. She makes you excited about it. She was wonderful. I also had the great pleasure of going to the Excelsior Chamber of Commerce this week. Had a very enjoyable meeting, as I always do. I enjoy going to those chamber meetings. It reaffirms that people are involved and they appreciate the things that the commission does. So it's a nice feeling. Anyway, everyone have a blessed Easter or Hanukkah, whatever, and get out and go to church. And don't worry about your hat.
Commissioner Withington.
In the next week or two, I'd like to request that the Parks Department give us a presentation or have a public discussion on the slip list at the marina. Since taking office, I've received a ton of emails about this slip list and how it's been 4.5 years of trouble for our constituents and the users at the lake. So I'd like to have a conversation with our Parks Department and invite some of these people to come and so they can participate in that discussion. So if we can get that scheduled, let me know so then I can let this list of constituents know so they can make it.
I will try to wear my best Easter bonnet and hope for the best. Something that I would like to reiterate, and it's been mentioned by a number of the commissioners, and that is this is a weekend of religious significance to a lot of different faith communities. And I think as I tried to express rather poorly, I think, during the invocation, certainly we all look to the same source for wisdom and goodness, and I think this is a time to contemplate that which brings us together, not that which we would disagree on. So whatever your faith tradition, as Commissioner Wagner said, have a blessed time, enjoy your family, travel safely. Prior to this meeting, we had a sunshine law seminar, and involved in that were some Q&A. The conductor of that was a representative from the AG's office in Jefferson City. And while he was informative, he was a great to disseminate the information, and also he will be providing us with a copy of his presentation. I think the thing that I would like to make note of on that particular part of today's gathering is that we had an extraordinary number of people here who serve on our different boards and commissions. The invitation was certainly made available to everybody who serves, particularly the chairs of those boards and commissions. And while the information disseminated, it was absolutely important and absolutely vital, and the questions were very good, I think what I would like to underscore is the fact that this room is fairly full. In fact, the doors back here were opened. So one of the things that I would observe is that these are people who are, out of the goodness of their hearts and their civic pride, giving of their time uncompensated for different areas in which they possess some degree of expertise, no matter what the board or commission was, and that they took time away from their other pursuits to be here to make sure that they can serve this county in the most effective way possible. And I just want to take the opportunity to express my appreciation, and I think I can safely speak for the commission to say we all very much appreciate the dedication and the time these volunteers put forward, and that their expertise and that their opinions are most valuable to us. So with that, I don't see anything else, so if we will be adjourned.